Hello guys, this is Biólogo Manolo, your Biology 2 teacher, and this time we will work our topic number 3, which is the circulatory system. First of all, guys, I would ask you to imagine that the organs inside our body would communicate themselves through a social network such as Twitter, and let's imagine what kind of messages they would send. For example, the small intestine. The small intestine would say that it already has the nutrients from the gorditas de migajas ate the night before. The skeletal muscle would ask for some glucose. The hypothalamus would complain on the extreme heat there is inside the body. The blood vessels would say that they would dilate as soon as possible. The stomach would ask for some antibodies since the salsa on the gorditas had fecal bacteria. The liver here would urge everybody to eliminate the wastes from the after party last night, and the kidney would say that, okay, I will work with you. All the tissues would ask for the removal of carbon dioxide, and the lungs would offer some oxygen to them. The uterus, for example, would ask for hormones since it has noticed that a zygote was formed and it's on its way to implant in the uterus. So another message is the one from the skin. The skin would ask for help after a cutting, and it would ask for coagulation proteins to help the bleeding to stop. If the human body would need a vendor or a provider to solve these transportation problems, it would ask for a company such as Circulatory Express. And in order to get in contact with Circulatory Express, the human body would only have to dial the call center by dialing 01800 Circulatory System. A nice operator would answer the phone call, say hello, and listen to all the needs expressed by the human body. For example, first moving oxygen from the lungs to the whole parts of the body, and then transporting carbon dioxide back to the lungs. The digestive system would need some nutrients to be distributed. Some toxic waste should be carried all the way to the liver and then to the kidneys for elimination. The hormones would need to be transported to all its action sites. The human body would ask for help on controlling temperature, from losing blood through coagulation, and finally, the human body would ask for protection against infections. So this nice lady here, the operator, would say, of course, sir, we will help you, we are here to serve you, and the human body will contract Circulatory Express as a provider. Being an important company as it is, the Circulatory Express company has a circulatory system with an organizational chart. This chart includes the heart, the blood, and the blood vessels. The heart is a reliable pump that is able to move the blood throughout the body the whole life through of an individual. The blood is the liquid that transports nutrients, oxygen, and wastes to the corresponding sites. And finally, guys, the blood vessels are the canals through which blood performs its function. So let's go further on an explanation on the blood vessels division. There are two kinds of blood vessels, the veins and the arteries. The veins are responsible for transporting blood with carbon dioxide, and the arteries, they are responsible for transporting blood with oxygen. The veins and the arteries are the same as branches on a tree, which divide and divide and divide. And every time they become divided, the size of the vessel gets smaller and smaller. When it happens, the veins become venules and the arteries become arterioles. And finally, when no further division may happen, a structure called the capillary vessels is formed. The capillary vessels are responsible for the exchange of nutrients and weights, and if we gather all the distance traveled by blood through this whole vessels system, we would have a distance of more than 80,000 kilometers long. So that's huge for a single human body. Let's continue. The heart. This is an evolved organ. It's formed by two individual pumps. One of them are the atria and the other the ventricles. They are responsible for transporting both oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. A human heart, guys, in an adult beats approximately 100,000 times a day. That's huge. And the heart functions through a cycle called the cardiac cycle, which we will explain. And guys, this is important. This is the hardest part of the topic, so please pay attention. First, when we study anatomy, guys, we have to keep in our minds that a left side and a right side in an organ or a patient belongs to the perspective of the patient, not our perspective or the doctor's perspective. So, as you may notice, in our heart we have the right side here at our left, and we have our left side here at our right. So please be careful on that. The cycle in the heart begins when the deoxygenated blood gets into the right atrium through the superior vena cava and the inferior vena cava. The right atricle contracts and pumps the blood inside the right ventricle. The right ventricle will contract and move the blood through the pulmonary artery all the way to the lungs. In the lungs, the blood will become oxygenated, and when that happens, the blood will return the heart through the pulmonary vein and enter the left atrium. The left atrium will contract, pump the blood all the way down to the left ventricle, and then it will contract again and pump the blood all the way to the aorta, and it will distribute the oxygenated blood to the whole body. This cardiac cycle, guys, is produced by coordinated contractions of both atria and ventricles. Atria contract simultaneously to empty their content, and a fraction of a second later, ventricles contract in turn to eject blood. Before a new cycle starts, there is a brief relaxation on both pumps, and that concludes the cycle. And remember, this is performed more than 100,000 times a day in an adult. For blood, as an average for a human being, we have 5 to 6 liters of it, and that makes a total of 8% of our body weight. The blood has two components. The first one is a liquid called plasma, and the other component are cells. It's a cellular component. The plasma contains mostly water, which is responsible for dissolving other components such as proteins, salts, nutrients, and wastes. They all contribute to maintain osmolarity and help fight against infections. Salts maintain pH regulated and some other physiological functions. Notice here, guys, that we have a tube with whole blood, and in this other tube the plasma and the cell component are separated, and as you can see, the plasma has a pale yellow color. So, the cell components. First, we have red cells or erythrocytes. Erythrocytes have red color, of course, and that color is due to a protein called hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is responsible, guys, for transporting oxygen to all cells in the body. White cells are the second type of cell, and they are also named as leukocytes, and their function is to protect from infections and diseases. The third element are the platelets or thrombocytes. They are important to coagulation process in blood. Platelets are cell fragments. They are as small that they are not even a complete cell. Platelets have the function to block the bleeding from an injured blood vessel, and that will stop the bleeding process and start a coagulation process because of the formation of a clot. Okay, let's continue. If we see those blood cells on a microscope, we need to use a staining technique called the right technique for staining, and we will use an optic microscope. The erythrocytes or red blood cells are seen this way, and for leukocytes, there are several types of leukocytes. First, we have neutrophils. They are bigger than erythrocytes. Its nucleus has some smashed or squashed portions, as you may see. Its cytoplasm has a lot of granules, little points. And next, we have lymphocytes. Lymphocytes are smaller, its nucleus is very big, the cytoplasm is small, and its color is more blue than the previous cells. Monocyte is the biggest leukocyte cell, and its nucleus has the shape of a jelly bean. The eosinophils are red in color, they have a lot of grains, and its function is to participate in the allergic process. This cell, the basophil, also participates in the allergic process, and its cytoplasm has a lot of granules in dark blue color. Finally, platelets. Platelets, as I mentioned before, they are the smallest cells in the blood, and we find them here inside this blue circle. So I'm giving you now this Blood Hero Saga, where you can find the cells from the blood, and I encourage you guys to check this, because maybe this will be included in your quiz. For diseases, guys, diseases in the circulatory system, the first one we have is atherosclerosis. Atherosclerosis is a blockage within the arteries, which is due to the formation of some deposits in the inner wall called plaques, and they are composed mainly of LDL. LDL stands for low density lipoproteins, which is the bad cholesterol. Notice how these plaques here obstruct the blood from passing through, forming some clots. Then we have hypertension. Hypertension means elevated blood pressure, and it's the pressure inside the inner walls of a blood vessels exerted by the blood cells. Notice how the heart grows in a patient with hypertension. Then we have the angina pectoris. Angina pectoris means an intense pain in the chest. This is part of the myocardial infarction, which represents the death of a part of the heart, mainly because the coronary arteries supplying blood to the heart muscle tissue become blocked, causing lesions or injuries, as you can see over here. Then we have the cerebral infarction or stroke, which is due to the formation of a blood clot, as the same as the heart infarction, but this clot over here is in the carotid arteries, which are responsible for transporting artery blood to the brain. When this happens, guys, a bleeding occurs in some particular area of the brain, causing some clottings, which will obstruct some brain tissues, and leading to injuries such as the one you see here. Okay, we are finished, guys. That would be all for now. I will see you in class, and I wish you all the best grade as possible. I am Biólogo Manolo, and I will see you later. So take care, guys. Bye bye.